People keep asking all the time, when did the fish boils start?
The meal itself goes back to probably the turn of the 19th century to the 20th century.
Loggers were here and sailors brought them in, and they had cauldrons and they certainly had plenty of fish.
Commercial fishermen would use it as a way to feed the crews. You could boil the fish right on the boat itself on a pot-bellied stove. Very simple and meal with, of course, the available food.
Somewhere along the line, somebody started the fish boil.
Commercially, the Viking Grill in Ellison Bay was the first one.
Lawrence and Wickman started it in about 1960 when tourism really turned around in this country.
Well, they were having fish boils for money makers for the community. But then it would say, come into the restaurant and they say, when's the next fish boil? Well, next year. It'll be next year. Well, we don't wait that long. Why can't you have it here? That was the early 60s.
So Lawrence and Annette started the fish boil, and they're the only ones doing it commercially, and they'd serve up to 700, 800 people in one night.
And I remember one time when we had a fish boil, we had 900 people, but then we had buses. And that's how the business grew.
My dad had a bar over in Bailey's Harbor, and he did a trout boil. And that would be back in the 46, 47. My brother and I were about 9, 10 years old.
I recall coming up into the area as a kid, and I didn't see fish boil signs. I saw trout boil signs.
And when the lamprey killed off the trout, then they went to the next thing available, and that was whitefish.
The basic meal is the same. They all feature Lake Michigan whitefish, usually fresh. Right now, this time of the year, we get it delivered fresh the day of the boil. It probably was caught this morning.
And we start out with our cauldron, and our cauldron is about 20 gallons of water. And the first thing we put in is about 3 pounds of salt.
The salt is in there just a little bit for flavoring, but its real purpose is to bring all the fats and oils up to the top of the water.
And there's a large amount of salt used. People think it's going to be salty. It isn't.
We bring that water to a boil, and when it's boiling, we start with our small, new red potatoes.
About 20 minutes into the time for the potatoes, I put another net on top of that, and it has all the fish in it. And the fish will be in for 8 to 10 minutes.
Then we'll put the onions in. The onions are small, sweet Spanish onions, and we'll cook them 2-3 minutes.
When I first add the potatoes and when I first add the fish, I do put just another pinch of salt in. Pinch of salt is really a misnomer. In the first boil, it's pounds, not pinches.
You can see the oils that are forming now. It's just a little bit on the top. This is the first boil. And the very first boil, you don't have as much oils that you do the second and the third one. Although, when we do boil it over, we lose about 5 gallons of water. So, 20 gallons, so about a quarter of the water is replaced each boil. Now you can see the fish here is getting done just by looking in here at it. It's starting to float a little bit, and that'll happen about 4 minutes. Yeah, 3-4 minutes, just before it's about time to take off. Now here's our fuel oil, which we use to boil over with. Not a big deal, you know, but it's there. I'm not. See how long it lasted?
I know a lot of people think that the fish boil is, the overboil is for the show. It certainly is a spectacular event, but it does have that purpose. You don't, if you didn't and you pulled the nets out without doing the boil off, you really would want to rinse it or somehow, and of course with a big outdoor net, that wouldn't be a very easy process.
We open the first Friday in April, and I boil every Friday from April to the end of December.
In winter, we get them out for a few minutes to watch the climax of the boil, but the rest of the time they're comfortably sitting in their tables inside.
Door County is such a unique place, and they're up here and they're having fun. Weather's nice, they're on vacation. People stopped earlier, what time is your boil over? Well, you know, if it boils in time, it'll be at 4:30. If it doesn't, well, it won't.
Not everybody did it like we did. We did it for sort of like, more like a show, making it wonderful to come to it.
makes my mouth water. It really does.